One thing that anyone who watches a little bit of news, follows a little bit of current affairs, um, if the eyes of the world are now on Africa, if the big companies are now focusing on, Africa as an emerging market, we've got one of the biggest, consumer bases coming up now. Why are us as, SMEs, as entrepreneurs, not focusing more on African expansion? All right. I had a guest on my program. And you see, these days I just quote my guests because there's really, really amazing people with lots of wisdom that come through. Who says, the day you decide to be rich, you need to start looking at Africa as one country, right? Because there we share a common market, right? If you have a product, you need a market to sell it to. There's only going to be so many people that can buy your stuff if you're in one market. So when you start looking at Africa from a bigger perspective. But ultimately, look, I personally feel that, Africa is a powerhouse, right? Africa is a powerhouse that's misunderstood, and we ourselves have misunderstood it, merely because we've tried to copy paste solutions that work elsewhere but don't necessarily work here. Why? Because we're inherently different environments, right? So I don't think anyone can tell you that it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. We need solutions tailored for this environment. We have businesses like Boda Bodas. We have businesses like, mobile payments. You have people in some countries that are selling water by the 20-liter container. These are businesses you don't see anywhere else in the world. All right. Our economics is very different. I think, probably more similar to us as India. Yeah. But they're highly advanced. But we need to, in looking at that, my idea is to get a group of young people together who share the same ideals, who can work together to develop solutions by Africans for Africans. Right? Look at our situation, look at our condition, look where we are, and create solutions that work within that space. If we start doing this, having people like you, designers, tech developers like yourselves, you are the people we need to start having these, thinking like this. How can you make African lives simpler using tech, looking at the African model? Let's not copy paste everything that's being done out there, because it's not going to work the same. Yeah. Look at a place like Zimbabwe. You guys have Uber in South Africa because you have a market that's big enough and that has enough money to actually spend on Ubers. Now in Zimbabwe, if you're to have something like an Uber service, that's going to be expensive for a lot of people. So you have a much smaller market to sell to. So you need to look at, okay, fine, if only 10% of society can use this service in this country, then what's 90% of them going to use for transport? You need to tailor the solutions to that. So we really need to just get together as young people, young Africans, start collaborating, thinking, what can we do? What synergies can we make to develop solutions for Africans? Because this is a powerhouse. I have my controversial sentiments, which I will not share on this podcast. But a great man once said that, Africa itself would be greater than the British Empire. Although he was misguided in how he effected his operation, I do believe that Africa will definitely overtake the British Empire and many other empires that have stood and that currently stand. An empire is not made in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. An empire is 100 years, 200 years. So when you start looking at it that way, and maybe this will happen when we are long gone, but at least we started something. And we can't say we started it because it's been going on forever. Anyway, people have known about this, but we are taking the revolution into the fourth industrial revolution, Let's get the minds out there that can really do the stuff. I'm no tech guy, but we're talking to you guys.